Hi, macroeconomics class. This is Dr. Seiwert checking in with you this week. Looks like we're talking about some fiscal policy. Probably a good thing to talk about right now with everything that's gone on in the pandemic and probably coming up in the election. So, fiscal policy, of course, is what does the government do with our tax dollars? What are they spending it on? Do we have inflation? Do we have deflation? What's going on there? Right now, our fiscal policy, we have low interest, which is good to have consumers buying homes, buying cars, maybe investing in their 401ks. So that's a good thing. But then the pandemic has caused other kinds of fiscal policy problems. For example, we have a lot of people that are out of work. So what can we do about this? We're not getting taxes, right? Well, we really need to increase some spending so everybody can benefit and maybe be helped out of the pandemic effect. So the government has been giving different types of checks to people to help them, stimulus checks to help them get by, pay bills, maybe even buy something, which is what the government hopes happens. It hopes that everybody is buying things so the economy can keep moving. Now, this last week they told us that the GDP, or the gross domestic product, went up 30-some%, which is crazy because in a normal time, which would have been before the pandemic, it was really only going up 2-3%, 5 maybe total in the United States. So what happened there that it went up so much? Well, we basically ground down to zero when we had the pandemic. Nobody worked for 2 months. Everybody stayed home, didn't do anything, to now where we're opening up and starting to be or look somewhat normal again in the economy. And this has been a good thing, but has caused an odd number because normally we're not going to see a 30-some% growth in GDP. Having a growth like that is a good thing. So things look like they're turning around and doing better, but the government is still arguing on these stimulus payments to people. And so, that's where the economy kind of gets drugged down by politics. You have one side that wants some things in the stimulus bailout, and the other side is not going to cave. So unfortunately, people get hurt. Now, what I did read last week when we were doing PAC-back questions was that people are spending. They are not hoarding their money. They are not, staying home necessarily. They are going out. They are spending. They're even spending their savings because they want to feel normal again. And part of that feeling normal is buying purchases, feeling good about that kind of thing, having something. One of the things that's interesting about this pandemic is people are buying new cars. And so I really thought maybe I'd buy a car because the market would be, the right time to buy. Nobody's spending money, but that's not the truth. People are spending money. People are buying cars, particularly new cars, because they don't want a car that somebody else has had because of the pandemic. So that was something that was interesting. So I'm finding out all kinds of things. Probably could write books on this, so you guys ought to take notes, maybe in case you want to write a book on what it was like in 2020. And so anyway, that was what I wanted to talk to you about this week. Then a couple more things in your chapter this week. They talk about crowding out effect. And the crowding out effect is something we might be seeing right now, where the government's trying to do things they don't normally do, which crowds out regular enterprise. And as we know, the government really can't be as efficient as a private industry. So as the government is trying to do vaccines and do stimulus and do all these things, they're taking all kinds of roles that probably aren't very good for them, as we're probably seeing, particularly getting a stimulus check out. So they're doing a little bit of crowding out effect, crowding out some of probably the normal businesses that would be doing some things. And then the last thing I thought was interesting, we're going to see in the book, it's called the Laffer curve. And that tells us that people will pay taxes at a certain point, and then when they're done. Like, if we're talking about having more taxes after the election year, would we pay half of our salary for taxes? Probably not. At a point we get to, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to work as hard, not work as many hours, because it doesn't pay me to get all this money when, let's say, half of it is being taken in taxes. And that's how everybody feels. So it gets to a certain point where people just say, no, I'm not going to pay any taxes anymore. And then that goes down. So when you see the Laffer curve in the book, his name is Art Laffer, and he's actually still alive. So it's kind of nice to see a guy on the economics still alive. I see him on TV once in a while, so it's kind of nice to know, oh, he's really actually looking at the economy right now. So anyway, that was an interesting tidbit. So Art Laffer and the Laffer curve. We won't be paying, 90% in taxes. That's not going to happen because we'll do something about it as individuals banding together. So anyway, have a good week. I wanted to check in with you, and thanks for the pack back. It's been really interesting and fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I'll talk to you later.